So, hi everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Welcome to Workforce Management versus Scheduling, Transforming Public Safety Staffing with Wilmac Continuity WFM. I'm Lada Kozachuk, and I'll be your moderator today. So, before we begin, just a few housekeeping items. You're in listen-only mode, so your microphone is muted, and you can submit questions during the session at any time using chat or Q&A panel, and we'll get to those questions when we can. So if we do not get to those questions, we'll follow up with you after the session. Today's session is being recorded, so we'll send the recording after the webinar. All right, so let's get started. For those who do not know Wilmac, we support public safety and other mission-critical teams with technology and services, and we have been working alongside PSAPs for decades. So to kick things off, I'm going to pass it to Steve McDonald, Wilmac's President and CEO. Steve, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Lada. Appreciate the introduction. I want to thank everyone for joining the webinar. We're excited to share with you guys Continuity WFM. I want to echo what Lada just said. If you guys have any questions, because we are in listen-only mode, please pop it in. We will make sure we answer all of them at the end. And if you have to drop off for any reason, we'll ping us and we'll send you contact information to reach out to us. So I want to start off by kind of giving everyone a quick background of who Wilmac is to kind of set the stage of why we are credible in what we are about to kind of embark on and bringing workforce management into the PSAP industry. As you can see on this timeline, we've been around for a long time. We have been selling and working with PSAPs since the early 90s. We are business partners with NICE, which is mission critical call recording. If you guys don't know, I'm sure you do know, they are the largest vendor in PSAPs, own the market share, and we are their primary business partner for the entire Northeast United States and Southeast Canada. We also do work with them pretty much across the country. So we have been involved in this industry for a long time. Most of our staff is day-to-day in this industry. Alongside that, we also, during this time, got into trading floors or financial compliance. It's the same type of recording that goes on in PSAPs, meaning mission critical recording, 100% recording. And again, NICE is our partner in that. So with that type of experience, we've been able to kind of see both industries and see both types of solutions in that industry. So in 2015, 2020, I was an employee at Wilmac, and we started seeing some stuff on the trading floor, and some questions were being asked by customers. And what ended up happening is we decided to develop our own solution for some of the data archiving issues they were having. That gave us the experience and the kind of knowing how to build an actual solution. So scale that to today, we have 2 of the top 5 banks in the country using our software, and we have over 150 customers and have been able to scale that. One of the other solutions that we resell into the financial compliance is a product called Workforce Management. So most call-taking companies, industries, I'll say, have used this type of product for 30 plus years. And we had a couple of our PSAP customers coming to us and saying, we think we could really utilize a product like this. And we resell this stuff. So we thought, all right, perfect. And the more we dove in, we realized PSAP have very unique needs, and the typical workforce management solutions were not meeting those needs. So we thought, all right, that might be the gap on why PSAPs never jumped into workforce management. From there, that was about 1.5 years ago, we kind of went into a market research. Alongside, we had a couple of customers that really helped us out, and seeing, all right, is this a viable product that PSAP needs? And it became very clear to us, and quite shocking, to be honest, that PSAPs and 911 centers were not utilizing this at all. And in most other industries, call-taking industries, every other call-taking industry, this is just happenstance. This is a must-have. Everyone has it. So we saw the chasm there and thought, what does this take advantage of? It helps with turnover. It helps with wellness. All the key things of running a contact center or call-taking center, such as a PSAP, this helps and assists with. Why aren't the most important call-taking centers, PSAPs, doing life and death on a daily basis using a solution like this. So that is how we kind of came to this, and we have been building it for the past year and a half. We built it kind of from what our customers needed. So as I'll take you through on the next slide, if we can jump to that, it really came out to a scheduling tool, which we know a lot of you guys are utilizing today, whether that's Excel sheets or maybe some workforce management or scheduling tools that are utilized for your police departments or fire departments, and you guys are kind of wedging it into your 911 centers. We realized that that's what we had to start with, and that obviously will help with staffing, make everything more consistent, fair, and definitely improve. Then what we found is, all right, that gets us so far. We really need to bring the forecasting part in. Forecasting really brings everything together for WFM. I don't know how much 911 centers are forecasting. We don't think it's very much, but this will help basically inform you guys on what you need to do. We're also beginning to work with unions to make sure unions start seeing this as an advocacy product and not something that's going to hurt your people. This is only going to help everybody in the future. So we began to work with unions. And then to wrap it all up, and we'll touch on it a bit today, but it's really where Wilmac envisions the product going, and we've already started developing what needs to go into it, but our AI features. So a lot of this is, as you can see on this slide, predictive forecasting. So we're taking what you guys have for historical data or for the first year that a product like Continuity WFM is in, and it can help predict and show you guys, lay out, this is how it should be, and you guys can look at it and be like, all right, well, we can do that, we can do this, we can't do that. It will give you reporting. This is what's been going on. This is what might happen. And then the last tier, which is actually developed, is the intelligent assistant. We call MAC. And it's basically an assistant, AI assistant, that helps you implement it with our help, helps you train on a day-to-day basis. And then it's just the bot there that anyone can type in questions, you can have conversations, and it'll help you with day-to-day issues with the product or what you're seeing out in the field. So all very exciting. I know I just threw a lot out at you, but this is the first year we've taken this to market. We'll be going out to basically all the APCO NINA events this year, speaking at a bunch and trying to put this more into thought leadership. Right now, we've been talking to individual PSAPs and moving like that, but we're going to get out more into the field of thought leadership with this. So very exciting. And I'm excited for John and Evan to kind of dive into some of the granular details that I know everyone's probably looking forward to, and even show you guys a little demo of our product. But I just wanted to give everybody a quick overview of why Wilmac is here and why we developed this. And again, we're pumped for this, excited to get this out to the market, and thank you everyone for joining us today.
Awesome. Thanks, Steve. Great intro to what we're going to talk about today. So if you can see me on the screen, I know what you're thinking, yet another Wilmac Fest. Don't worry, Evan will break up the monotony. For those of you who don't know me, I know I've chatted with many of you on the webinar today, but my name is John McDonald. I'm the Public Safety Sales Director here at Wilmac. Been working with public safety agencies for now 7 years and have been lucky enough to dedicate most of my time to WFM over the last 18 months, 2 years. So really excited to have you here today and looking forward to showing you a bit more about WFM as a whole. Mr. Arnold, would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, thank you so much, John, and thank you, Steve, for the wonderful introduction to our webinar for today. My name is Evan Arnold. I serve in a dual role here at Wilmac Technologies. I support sales engineering for Wilmac Continuity WFM, which means that I am developing the quotes and I'm building out the initial solution for you in order to meet your needs. As well, I am the post-implementation technical account manager, meaning that I will serve as your single point of contact after the implementation has occurred. When you're using the product, any questions that you have or any support that you need would be funneled through me, and I have direct relationships with the folks that are developing this. So I'm really looking forward to sharing the tool and really looking forward to answering some of the questions that you have today.
Awesome. Thank you, Evan. So to get things started, want to talk a little bit about WFM workforce management as a whole at a high level. Like Steve said, this seems to be more of a new concept for public safety agencies, but again, WFM is an absolute standard in typical call centers and has been for 20 to 30 years. So really excited to kind of teach you a little bit more about what workforce management is. So at the highest level, WFM is really all about doing more with less, right? We know there's an industry plague right now for short staff centers. So how can we analyze our workforce as is and make sure we're getting the most out of the staff that we have right now? We understand how important and critical what you guys do every day are, keeping the public safe. And Evan and I are always saying how crazy it is, how much time goes into schedule building each year. And those schedules are static in a very ever-changing environment. So, you spend all this time making a schedule that just gets kind of thrown by the wayside in just a matter of time. So when we're looking at WFM versus basic scheduling, what are some of the key differences? One of the major changes when we're talking about WFM is automation. And we say automation, this is an absolute cornerstone of WFM. This is a standard that makes WFM. So when we say automation, this is still directly relating to your schedules, but how you build them, how you manage them. So starting off, your bidding. We know there's folks on here who have extremely long bidding processes. We've talked to agencies who take 8 weeks in the beginning of the year just to get their bidding. How can we make that just a single click, a single automated workflow instead of taking days or weeks to get your bidding? Your schedule creation, how can we change that from a long manual process to just a single click? Your time off management, your overtime management, your shift swapping, all of these are going to be very simple processes that take a ton of time. So how can we add logical workflows so all of these processes can be completed in just a couple clicks in a fraction of the time? With that, WFM is a central platform, one unified solution. So centralization of everything that goes into your workforce management. Every single piece of your bidding, your forecasting, like Steve mentioned, your schedule creation. If you accept a change via an AI assistant in your schedule, it gets updated in real time, right? If someone does a shift swap, we want this to be reflected in the schedule immediately. You're not toggling between solutions and keeping track of an Excel sheet and a schedule or in Google Sheets, and they all have disparate information. It's one single solution for communication, all your ancillary processes, your schedule, and your forecasting all in one thing. On top of that, it's also one solution for your employees. So it gives them some autonomy in a world that for them might seem pretty strict, but they get to see their schedules, they get to do their bidding, they get to ask for swaps all in this interface. And one of the biggest reasons that we wanted to lean on today, and something that Steve was referring to, is AI and predictive forecasting. Right. So understanding your call volume, truly understanding it, what your actual minimums and maximums are, and really understanding your demand to staffing is extremely powerful. And with that, the AI assistant, when we can take your demand to staffing and lay it over your current schedules and then feed that through AI, we can get a ton of knowledge that you can't see outside of that. So we can take your call volumes and we can basically see where your minimums and maximums are, but we can also say, hey, where's my overtime? Where have I not seen my overtime pop up that I can take care of ahead of time? Where can I improve my coverage over shift or rotation edits? How can we do better with the staff that we have with all of this data that we're intaking on a day-to-day basis? So all of that compared to a schedule, right? Which will simply allow you just to know when people are on and when people are off. It's a plan to follow, like it says here, until something changes. And we know in a 911 center, change is constant. So WFM is really about giving you true visibility and truly understanding your workforce in your center. So with that, we have a poll question for you. Throw that out there real quick. How are you managing scheduling today? We have conversations daily about different setups. Is that a scheduling tool? Is that a Excel sheet? Is that a combination of the two? Is that Google Sheets? Is that multiple different aspects? How are you communicating? Is it Teams? Are you doing email? One of our truths that we hear, but is not always great, is pen and paper. Are you using pen and paper? So please feel free to throw that in there. All right. Can't see the responses, but that's all right. There's going to be a mix of different tools out there, but all of them lead to sort of different issues across the board. These are all issues that we see as very common. Everyone has these. It's just kind of what's most important. What's the biggest headache for you, right? So I think something that is not on here that we need to call out, as we've called out already, but staffing. Staffing is a major problem. I would guess that most of us on here are not operating at 100% capacity, which is unfortunately the absolute norm right now. And a lot of these issues that we see on here can come back to we don't have enough manpower. So how can we get all of our critical requirements done on a day-to-day basis when we're operating at just a percentage of capacity? So just kind of going through some of these real quick. Unplanned overtime is something we hear all the time, and really overall overtime budget. Obviously everyone's allotted a certain amount of money. How are we doing with that on an annual basis? We talk to supervisors, directors, operations managers, and this is what leadership tends to care about. What's the bottom line? But how can we utilize workforce management and AI reporting in this case to go to our leadership and say, hey, this is why we made the decision that we made. This is why we needed the overtime. And this is why we're kind of operating the way that we're operating. Reliance on spreadsheets is on here, but really we can kind of put that into a reliance on manual solutions. Again, whether that's Google Sheets, Excel, scheduling tools that get you halfway there, different forms of communication. These processes that are absolutely critical for your day-to-day and are typically, if you think about it, a simple process can be extremely time consuming and even more worrisome, extremely prone to error. The last one I'll touch on here is the limited visibility, and that really goes hand in hand with the overtime budget. Not knowing where your gaps are going to be and not knowing where your issues are going to pop up, not being able to see what's going to happen in the future often leads to empty seats and missed call time metrics. So, a lot of issues all kind of come down to the same few things: staffing, too much overtime, and we want to talk about how we can fix that today. So I touched on this a little bit, but wanted to hand it over to Evan in just a minute to talk about the three main differences of workforce management and scheduling. And we're going to start with automation. We talked about it a bit, but these are the four processes that I really want you to try to pay attention to as Evan's going through here. Some things to take away, I guess is a better way to say that, some important things. Shift bidding, again, we have talked to folks who take 2 months to do bidding. It's a process of communication that can take a very long time. But what if we could set this up to more so be a quick process where you have a time to log in, you get it done, you have it in order how you like it. If you need to by seniority, we can do that. If you do it alphabetically, we can do that. But how do we save you a ton of time when we're doing shift bidding? And that goes with vacation bidding as well. It's the same process. And Evan will run through kind of the fantasy football style. That's what we like to call it, but we'll show you a little bit of that. Directly related to that is our one-click scheduling. So if you do bidding, how do I make my schedules? The bidding process is extremely long and tiresome, but now I got to make my schedules out of that. How can we take that bid and put that right into your 2-month, 6-month annual schedule directly out of the bidding? And I know what you're thinking. Maybe you don't do bidding. Maybe you have static rotations. You have static shifts. Well, we can do a single click schedule creation for, again, any amount of time, month, 2 months, 6 months, year, whatever you need. And we can do that all while taking into account your employees' skills, the necessary position requirements, your minimums, your maximums, your lunches, your breaks. Evan, sorry, I don't want to I'll let you do most of the showing on this. Overtime and PTO management. We know that this is a process that is typically always siloed. So maybe you have a scheduling solution, but your PTO and your overtime is handled in payroll, or maybe it's handled in Excel because you have so many rules that are associated with this that you can't rely on a scheduling tool that's not really what it's supposed to be doing for you. So this is something that we can bring it into the Continuity WFM or the WFM interface and have it all shared in under one central location. Shift swapping, again, maybe I know a handful of you probably don't do shift swapping, but this is another great perk or giving your employees some autonomy. And this is another process that we see is often done word of mouth or a text or an email. How do we even keep track of that stuff? How do we audit that stuff, right? This is very important to keeping our center fully staffed, but how do we know what's truly happening? So again, built-in workflows right into Continuity WFM to manage this. And then with all of this, auditable, right? So we can see what's happened, how my schedule has been affected, what changes were made. With the automation feature, we're really looking to save resources and time on this, right? These are all processes that take entirely too long, that are hard to track and are in multiple systems. So that's kind of the overarching theme of automation that Evan's going to show us. The next, just more of a very high level theme, is centralization. You'll notice we're not bouncing between different sheets. This has all of your information in it. It has your employee information, their skills, their seniority. It has your locations. It has your center setup. Every single aspect that goes into your workforce management is all built right into Continuity WFM. And with that, before we get into anything else, Evan, I'm going to let you tear it up on a demo.
All right. Well, thank you, John, and thank you for setting up a lot of the conversation that we'll have here throughout the demo. And while I am pulling my screen up to share the Continuity WFM platform with you, I want to first point out that this is a common URL that all users will be accessing. So it's a website that the users will visit, and their view is determined by roles-based access. So meaning that my login and my role within the organization determines what I see when I log in. So the only difference is username and password, and this can be accessed from any internet connected device. So if users would like to access it from an iPad or a home computer in order to check their schedule, they absolutely can do that. And coming in the near future, we will have an app that's currently in development that will be available for iOS and Android as well, where they can use an app if that's their preference. Now, what I see here is the administrator view. And this is what an administrator or a scheduler would see when they first log into the application. First off, I see a 24-hour view of today's schedule. I see the date, the 20th, up here in the left, and I see a color-coded schedule station by station as where my individuals are sitting throughout the day and who will be relieving them during their breaks. So you'll see the color code here is actually determined in a legend where it tells me in green, that's my folks that are going on break. And I have individuals that are coming in to fill in those breaks that are automatically scheduled by the system if the seat is required. So these dispatch seats have been set up as required seats, so the system will automatically place a reliever in those seats. Now that's entirely optional. You'll see down here below that I have some yellow icons, or you might say orange. I might be a little bit colorblind. These indicate that that's an open spot, so meaning that that seat was optional and that there is no coverage automatically scheduled. That's the same for my supervisor down here at the bottom, where I have my supervisor taking a break and I have no one relieving them on their break. That is entirely optional, and this is entirely built by the rules that are established in the system. From this page, I have some basic intraday functions that I can take. I can take actions like marking someone as absent. If I select a person as absent, I also have the option to create overtime. When that overtime is created for that absent shift, it goes up into a notification that's pushed out to all users. So all users will see that a new overtime has become available and they can sign up from there. I can also add a station. Let's say that I need some additional capacity today, so I'm going to add in some of my overflow. I have 2 overflow stations created in the demo, and I can create that station and add in an overtime shift for that station. So this is all being done in real time. If you'd like to keep an audit trail in addition to the audit trail that's already captured here, you also have the option to add in notes, where if anyone's making changes, they can add in notes as to what changes were made so that future schedulers can take a look and see what happened. This view as well is also available from a people view. So rather than seeing station by station, I can see person by person. So I can see where each person is being seated and where they're located throughout their shift if they're moving around. I can also see it broken down by assignment. So if in my center, I like to move my folks around from dispatch to call taking throughout their shift. I can see their assignments throughout their shift. And again, this is broken down in real time, and I can make changes directly from this screen as well. From here, I want to jump into some of the admin functions, and that will help me demonstrate the people view as well that your end users will see when they log into their schedules. From the admin view, when I first launch this page, I see a month-wise view of my schedules for the entire month. And you'll see again that we have color-coded icons that are indicating the status of those schedules. This is an easy way to see that all my schedules are in good condition. I do have one red mark here, and let me show you what that means. But before I get there, the green means that the schedule has been created, there's no errors, and I'm complete coverage for that shift based on my defined rules. If I jump into the next month, you'll see that I have some other icons here. I have an indication that I need to take a look at some gaps in the schedule, but I also have red icons indicating that those schedules have not been created yet. Let me show you how quick it is through one-click scheduling in order to create a new schedule. If I go into the 3rd of February, I'll just click on that box. I can see all of my schedule assignments have not been filled. So I simply click assign. And when I assign, the system is gathering all of those policies, all of the rules, overtime that's been accepted, any time off that's been accepted, any changes to the schedule, and it builds the schedule for me. From here, I then can see what the outcome is, and you'll see that for the most part, my schedule looks really good, except I do have some red icons. Those red icons mean that someone has decided to take this day off, so now I'm understaffed and I'm missing a reliever specifically for these shifts. So it gives me the real-time notification that that's what's going to be occurring on that day, so I can make decisions as to how I'd like to handle that. If I'd like to create an overtime shift, or if maybe I'd like to move some breaks around, I can absolutely make those changes. Coming back into the admin functions, before I go deeper into other functions of admin, I want to touch on reporting, because this is where AI comes into play. A lot of the AI is not something I can demonstrate because it's the things that are happening behind the scenes, but there is one piece of AI that I am able to demonstrate, which is our AskWFM. AskWFM is a real-time natural language reporting tool that you can use to ask questions about your scheduling and about anything that's happening or might have occurred within your schedules. So let's say I have a question about who took time off during December. I can ask it a question. It's going to query my data. It's looking right now to see if there's any information about individuals that took time off, and it produces a real-time ad hoc report. And you can see on this report that I have start and end time. I have the name as well as the type of time off that was taken and any notes that might have been associated with that time off. This is really open to you. Any questions that you have can be asked and the system will produce a result. Those results will persist until I clear the conversation or I log out. So I can always take a look at something else, come back and continue the conversation with the AI. That is in addition to standard reporting functions, which break down by individual the information that you'd like to see. So things like what stations they've been sitting in, what station types they've been working in, have they been taking time off, and what is the balance of their shift looking like between break and working time. So from here, I want to move into the admin functions that John pointed out that I think are pain points in a lot of those areas in the scheduling tools that you're currently using that were called out in the survey earlier. One thing is shift bidding, and shift bidding can be a big process in a lot of those tools that were mentioned, especially if you're using spreadsheets. Let me show you how easy shift bidding is for an admin here. I can go into shift bidding and I can create a new bid. You'll see that I have a bid here I'll come back to in just a moment, but I can create a new shift bid and it walks me through step by step through a wizard. I give that bid a name. I choose the dates that that bidding cycle is going to occur for. So I just choose my range of dates. I then choose which rotations are going to be included in that bidding cycle. And I can choose as many or as few as I need if I do separate bids for separate rotations. And then I determine who's participating in this bidding cycle. I can select everyone, or I can select just a few. This works in a fantasy football style. For those of you that have played fantasy football before, it's when your turn opens, you get a certain limited amount of time in order to make your bid. So when this cycle opens, the first person in line, either by seniority or alphabetical, is going to get this duration of time that I'm setting for how long they'll be able to bid. They'll be notified through the app when it's their turn. They make their bid is accepted or sent to the next part of the flow where an admin would approve, and the bidding cycle continues on to the next person. If I don't want the same person to start every single bidding cycle, I can offset this bid. So last time, maybe I started with the most senior employee. This time I want to start with the 5th most senior employee, and it shifts those other folks down in the cycle. So I have my bid already created here for a test. Let me use this as an opportunity to show you what the person view looks like. If I am an employee, and let's say that I am David Adams, when I log into my Continuity WFM, this is the screen that I'll see. I see my schedule on that same calendar map telling me what my day shifts are. I see functionality over here on the left-hand side for swaps, time off, callback or overtime shifts, and bidding. And if it was my turn to bid, I would have a notification telling me that it's time to bid. I go into the bidding cycle, I select that bid, and I make my bid. I would see the options that are available for the rotations I can bid for, that I meet the eligibility criteria for. I select the bid, I submit it, and it tells me that I've been accepted for that bid. You'll also see here if I missed it, I've been randomly assigned, so meaning that those that choose not to participate in the bid, miss their bidding window, can either be manually assigned by the admin or can be randomly assigned by the application. Since I'm in this view, though, let me jump back to my dashboard and show you a couple other functions that your users will have.
Real quick, Evan.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I know there's some folks on here who have a major pain point in bidding. If you guys have any questions, please throw them in the chat. We'd be happy to address them now, or we can get back to you on the follow-up. But I know that this is a major time suck for a lot of agencies. So if you have questions, workflow concerns, please throw them in the chat. We're happy to address them.
Absolutely. And thank you, John. So 2 more things I'd like to share from the person view. For any of these days, if I need to swap a shift or take time off, the user can simply select the date that they need to take time off or swap for, and then they choose, am I swapping that shift or am I taking time off? If I choose to take time off, I just choose the reason and I put in any notes for approval by my manager. I then could choose to swap the shift. If I swap the shift directly from this screen, it brings up a wizard where I can quickly choose, is there an existing shift that I'd like to swap with? Maybe one of my days off that I'd like to select, that would be my preferred day that I'd like to swap with. And then I can add in a message before I send that out. If I don't choose a date, it allows the bid to remain open for other users to choose which date they're willing to swap. And then when I come back and see my swaps, I'll see that I have an open swap that's been created that may not have been signed up for. So I don't have anyone requesting. It's currently in a pending status. And I can see the status of any of my requests for swaps that I've requested in here as well. Time off can also be viewed. If I've requested time off, I have a time off history. And I can also use the wizard from the left-hand menu in order to request time off from here. Overtime, I can also track my overtime from here, and I can sign up for available overtime. Overtime currently is created either from the schedule view or from the admin view. The admin view allows you to create a new overtime shift for any date and time. Partial overtime signups are also available, so a user can apply only half of a day rather than a full day. And we are working towards a future iteration where overtime can be signed up without the admin flow, so it becomes optional to include the admin as part of that decision-making process.
Yeah,
but
something else to throw in there. Sorry, Evan.
Go ahead.
Overtime, this is where a lot of, we know, union rules live, or internal rules and mandates that you folks have to follow. So, that just is a conversation. Just figure out what you can, what you can't do, and we can implement to make sure that those are followed throughout the overtime process.
Absolutely, and thank you, John. So for this demonstration, again, this is high level. I'd love the opportunity to put together a unique demonstration for your organization based on your specific needs. We can even develop a demo environment to mirror your rules and what your layout actually looks like. So please feel free to sign up for a demo that would be more specific. But for now, I'll go ahead and pass it over to John to talk a little bit more about our future roadmap, some of the things that are coming to Continuity WFM.
Good, thanks, Evan. Let me share my screen one more time. All right, thinking you guys are with me. So wanted to kind of return to this as it's a big priority. It's kind of where our minds are here at Wilmac and where we can find real value in Continuity WFM. It's all systems go for predictive forecasting, AI reporting, and intelligent insight. So wanted to show you a little bit what this is gonna look like. Just to start off with the predictive forecasting. Before I jump over there, everything you've seen thus far is WFM at its core. And this is really how we can improve the staffing issues that many agencies are currently facing. How can we do more with less? And this is really how we get there. So starting off with predictive forecasting. I think Steve mentioned it at the top of the meeting that, through either large historical data dumps of call volumes, live integrations with Vesta or Solacom or Carbine or Intrado, we can get live, constant, up-to-date call volumes. And this is how we can really understand your demand to staffing. So you can see here, we have live call volumes. We can understand what your future is going to look like, as well as what your day is going to look like. Evan, anything I'm missing on predictive scheduling?
Well, it's really designed around user friendliness because not all of us are data scientists, and forecasting can be a bit of a challenging aspect for someone that's unfamiliar with the data that goes behind it. So the AI implementation of forecasting includes AI suggested forecasting models. So it doesn't use a singular model in order to generate a forecast. It determines, based on your historical volume, what the best possible model for forecasting might look like. So you always have AI involved in order to make suggestions in order to improve your process.
Perfect, thank you. And I think that flows well into the next section, which is AI reporting. And really the insights, I think, is what's super important here is like I mentioned earlier, we can take your forecast that Evan kind of just described for us. We can take your schedules that you created in, 2 minutes, and we can compare those. We can feed those to AI and say, what am I not expecting right now? Or you can say, hey, we're expecting this guy to retire. This person's going out on maternity leave. These changes are coming down the pipe. How is this going to affect my schedule that I have in place right now? And from there, the AI insights will kind of tell you, this is what we would recommend. Is this something you want to implement? Yes. Is this something you want to take out for approval processes, since you know this is going to be an issue down the line? It can really tell you all your statistics that are coming down, your data points, your calls, your call deviation. It's really a plethora of information and things that we might not be thinking of right now. Such of our day-to-day is super reactionary, but how can we get ahead of our staffing problems that we can't quite see down the line right now, because we're either putting out fires or we're editing an Excel sheet, or we're texting to ask for time off. So it's all about getting ahead of your forecast and knowing what's coming down the pipe, even though it's hard to know what's coming down the pipe, right? Evan, any color you want to add to that?
Not much. I really just that the power of AI is its ability to look at large data sets in a singular view in order to produce the best possible outcome. And this is something that if we're scheduling through a spreadsheet or we're scheduling through just a simple scheduling tool, it can be very difficult to take in all of that data and really determine the best possible outcome in order to improve service levels and improve overall experience. Because obviously we're working in a mission critical environment, and it's absolutely important that we get this right. AI is not taking over your scheduling in this case. AI is simply supporting you in creating the best possible scenario.
Awesome. Thanks, Evan. And the last thing, which we touched on a little bit, is AskWFM, aka the Mac bot. I know Evan kind of demoed the reporting functionality on this, but we can also ask scheduling questions, like I was referring to before. Someone comes up to you and they're like, okay, I'm giving you my 2 weeks. I'm out of here in a couple weeks. And you can go to AskWFM and say, hey, Evan's leaving. How does this affect me down the road? So you can ask pointed conversational questions to the Mac bot, understand your schedule, and from there get recommendations on your best next steps. Evan, I know this one's pretty straightforward. Have any color, Dad? You're all set.
I think really just the world's your oyster. Anything you'd like to ask, Mac will have an answer.
Perfect. Thank you. So I know we are at 1 minute before everyone's got to jump. Lotta, not sure if we have time for maybe one question.
Yes. So yeah, I know we're running out of time, but thank you for staying with us for those couple extra minutes. What type of AI does your product use?
Evan, you want to jump in?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are an Amazon shop. We use AWS as our platform behind Continuity WFM. And the AI is being supplied specifically by Amazon Bedrock, where Amazon Bedrock is a fully encrypted AI platform that allows to select between different large language models. So it's not just tying you into a single ChatGPT or Gemini. It allows us to choose the best possible language model for your specific needs.
Perfect. Thanks, Evan. And I know everyone, we're at the top of the webinar here. So just wanted to say we'll follow up with any other questions that are out there. And thank you for the participation. And we're going to send out a quick survey. If there's anything specific that you want follow up on, if you want to set up a demo, we're happy to do so. Would love to know what is most intriguing to you about WFM. Is it centralization? Is it automation? Is it AI and predictive scheduling. So thanks again for everybody's time.
Yeah,
And
John, before we jump off, echoing John's statement, thank you. And we're going to be going out to a lot of conferences and events this year. So we hope to see everybody face to face. And for the people that were on the call, specifically on the call today, while we go out to all these conferences and events, we are starting to look at potential customers that would want to do a free trial. So you guys that are on there today, we definitely want to offer that to you. So we'll be reaching out to you. And again, thank you. Appreciate it. And hope to talk to everybody soon.
thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.